Hello my dear बच्चों, I know, exams are just around the corner, but tension बिल्कुल नहीं लेना. Your favorite tutor is here, and today we're going to quickly revise a really important chapter, political parties. Chalo, let's get started. Arey, first tell me, does this sound familiar? You're watching the TV news and Papa is complaining. You're having dinner and Mummy is complaining, right? Everyone seems to be saying, these parties are useless. It's a super common feeling, beta. But today, we're going to find out why, despite all the complaints, we actually can't live without them in a democracy.
So, here's our plan for today. We'll look at why we need parties, what their main job is, the party system in India, the big challenges they face, how to reform them, and then a quick exam revision at the end. Simple, right? Okay, let's jump right in. All right, first things first. Let's tackle the big question. Are political parties, really necessary? Especially in a country as huge and diverse as our India. Can't we just manage without them? Let's find out.
Dekho, the textbook definition is actually super simple. Think of a political party as just a team. It's a group of people who share similar ideas about how the country should be run. They contest elections together, and if they win, well, they get to form the government. It's basically teamwork, but on a national scale.
And just like our favorite cricket team, every party has three main parts. First, you have the leaders. They're like the captains, right? The ones making the big decisions. Then, you have the active members. These are the players on the field, doing all the groundwork. And finally, you've got the followers. That's people like us who support the party. We're the fans in the stands.
Okay, now let's do a little thought experiment. Just imagine for a second, what if there were no parties? Every single candidate in an election is independent. One person promises to build a local road, another promises a new park, but who's going to make decisions for the entire country? Who's going to decide on our foreign policy or manage our economy, which is worth lakhs and lakhs of crores? It would be total chaos, right?
Yeah, I hear this all the time. Parties just divide people. And you know what? There's some truth to it. They create what we call partisanship, which can definitely feel divisive. But that's only one side of the coin. Let's flip it over and look at all the important jobs they actually do.
And that brings us to a super important topic for your exams, the functions of political parties. So what is their job description really? What are they supposed to be doing? Let's break it down.
Okay, pay close attention here. Your textbook lists 7 main functions. How many? 7. Remember that number because this is a classic exam question, beta. If you can list these 7 points, you're on your way to getting full marks for sure. So, the first bunch of jobs are the ones we see all the time. First, parties contest elections. Simple. The winner forms and runs the government. Also simple. And here's a big one. They are the main players when it comes to making new laws for all of us in the parliament.
Now, the second set of jobs is all about being our voice. See, the party that loses the election becomes the opposition, and their job is to keep the government in check, to ask the tough questions. Parties also shape public opinion by raising important issues. And think about it. For an ordinary person, it's much easier to go to a local party worker for help with the government scheme than to find some big government officer, right? They're our link.
Okay, so we've established we need parties. But how many is the right number? 1, 2, or a whole bunch, like a big mela? Let's talk about the different kinds of party systems out there.
So, around the world, you'll mainly find 3 types of systems. You've got the one-party system, like in China, where people don't really have a choice. Then there's the two-party system, think of the USA or the UK, where power just goes back and forth between 2 big parties. And then you have the multi-party system, where lots of parties compete for power. And guess which one we have? Of course, it's India.
But why do we have a multi-party system? Arey, just think about our country. We have so many languages, so many religions, so many different cultures. It would be impossible for just 1 or 2 parties to represent everyone. Our system might seem a little messy sometimes, but you know what? It perfectly reflects the amazing diversity of India.
This brings us to a really interesting idea: coalition government. In our multi-party system, a lot of times no single party gets a clear majority. So what happens then? Well, several parties have to join hands to form a government. We call this a Gathbandhan, or a coalition. It's just like in school, when you team up with friends from different classes to work on a big project together.
Okay, so if parties are so necessary, and they do all this important work, why do we still complain about them so much? Why are we back to that first question? Well, it's because our political parties face some really, really big challenges. Now, this is another potential 5-mark question, so listen carefully. Your textbook lists 4 major challenges. They are a lack of internal democracy, dynastic succession, money and muscle power, and a lack of meaningful choice for voters. Let's quickly go through each one.
So the first big problem is that most parties aren't very democratic on the inside. All the real power is concentrated with just 1 or 2 leaders at the very top. They don't hold regular internal elections, so an ordinary, hard-working party member, they have almost no chance of rising up the ranks.
The second challenge, and you see this everywhere, is dynastic succession. This is when top positions are just passed down within a single family. The son or daughter of a big leader gets a top job, just like that. It's totally unfair to other, more deserving members of the party. A democracy isn't supposed to be like a kingdom, right?
Number 3 is a really serious one. The growing role of money and muscle power, or as we call it, gundagardi. Parties often give election tickets to candidates who are either very rich or might even have criminal connections. Why? Simply because they think these candidates have a better chance of winning the election. This is obviously very, very bad for our democracy.
And the last challenge is one that we, the voters, face. A lot of the time, there isn't much of a difference between the policies of the major parties. Plus, you see leaders jumping from one party to another all the time. So when you go to vote, you're left wondering, what's the real choice here? It doesn't feel very meaningful.
Phew. Okay, that's a lot of problems. I know. It can feel a little disheartening. But here's the important question. Can we fix these things? Can we reform our political parties? And the answer is yes. Some steps have already been taken, and there's more we can do. So a few important legal steps have been taken. For example, there's something called the anti-defection law. This was made to stop leaders from changing parties right after they win, that whole Ayaram, Gayaram culture. Also, the Supreme Court now says every candidate has to file an affidavit, a sworn statement, declaring their property and any criminal cases against them. But you know what the biggest force for reform is? It's us. People power. When we put pressure, parties have to listen.
All right, we've pretty much covered the whole chapter. Now for the fun part. Let's do a quick quiz to see how much you remember. Ready for a little MCQ knockout round? Let's do this.
Okay, here's your question. This is straight from the section on national parties in your textbook. Who is the founder of the Bahujan Samaj Party, or BSP? Is it A, B, C, or D? I'll give you a few seconds. Think back.
And the correct answer is A, Kanshi Ram. I'm so sure many of you got that right. If you did, give yourself a little pat on the back. Shabash, beta! Well done!
Let's end with this really powerful thought from your chapter. It says that the problem of bad politics can only be solved by more and better politics. So the answer isn't to run away from it because it seems dirty. The answer is for more good people to get involved and make it better. The future really is in our hands.
And just like that, our revision for this chapter is done. You are now totally prepared. So go into that exam hall with full confidence. Bilkul tension nahi lena. All the very best, my dear bachcho. I know you'll do great.